everyone, and welcome to Building Smarter, the power of AI in construction. My name is Juliana, and I work in marketing here at Microcat. And today's presenter is Phil, our applications specialist. At today's webinar, we'll hopefully see how AI technologies can reduce cost, minimize delays, and deliver high quality projects. Um, As usual, you can ask a question at any given point on the left hand. You can ask Phil to revisit a step or ask any questions. This is your time, and we want you to make the most of it. And in the upper right hand corner, you will find links to our social media, website, and YouTube channel. We post all of our webinars there at the end so you can share with colleagues or rebudget it on your own time. We will be also sending the on-demand recording of this webinar. So you also have the registration section on the right hand. You can go there, check the upcoming webinars, and register so you can get the on-demand recording even if you cannot make it. And without further ado, I'll pass it on to Phil. Hi, Phil.
Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time. Let me share my screen. So you should be seeing the role of AI in construction.
Yep.
Marvelous. It's nice when technology works. So what we're going to be talking about today is the role of AI in construction, a little bit about what it is to make sure that we don't get confused because there's a lot of hype out there, and talking about some of the applications that are coming and applications that are here now already. So that's what we're going to be going about. So you've got to be asking, what is a quote from a biologist from the 19th century have to do with us? Well, Darwin developed his theory based on observations of species under pressure, changing ecosystems, new predators, uncertain food sources. So I think we also face a grossly changing world too. There's certainly a change in the last 10 years or so, where we've had a great increase in the use of digital information, whether in the office, the trailer, or in your hand even. The proliferation of BIM models has now become the standard from the design team for construction usage. Modularization in the form of industrialized construction, and all that implies from the design and from the construction side, scheduling and accessing and the equipment that's appropriate to handle these modules. Robots like Spot, the little dog in the upper left, you probably have seen videos of the dog, and it can be programmed to automatically go around the construction site, investigate things, take pictures, and generally stay out of the way, hopefully. But basically being able to do the things that saves people from going into dangerous areas. Self-driving earth-moving equipment. We've certainly seen that, and that's become the standard. Bricklaying robots. We've seen some robots who just lay down bricks. Robots that automate the slab drilling for penetration issues. Common use of internet devices on all of this equipment so you can communicate with that equipment. Like the earth moving equipment can automatically signal that it's time for maintenance or an oil change or something like that. So all of these technologies are here. It's going on. It's changing our world. It's putting stress. And lastly, of course, is AI, which is also making a change in the world. So being able to adapt is part of what Darwin was really talking about, and we're in that environment where we have to adapt. Now, this AI has been a little bit different because all of those other technological advances were not met with the same level of fear, and there's no other way to describe it, but pure fear that the AI technology is being received as. We know there's always been a little bit of fear and confusion about any new technology, but AI has uniquely generated a lot of flood of negative responses. And maybe it's because AI is falling in that uncanny valley where people are just uncomfortable not being able to tell if they're working with a machine or another human. Um, and fear of loss of jobs and fear of changing um, real roles. Um, that's all a little overblown. AI is not going to take over the world. AI is not going to take your job. AI will not recruit your Roomba and your internet connected refrigerator to rebel against you. All of that's just overblown. And part of the fear is that most people just don't understand how AI works. And it seems like it's just black arts. Especially in the construction field, we're very risk averse, naturally risk averse. When we're doing out in the site building things, there's so much potential for things going wrong. The clay our soils engineer promised turned into sand. The engineered truss we ordered comes in a foot too short. Delivery times for those ducts went from 3 weeks to 8. We're able to handle all of these kinds of risks. We don't need to try a not quite ready technology. That's just not going to happen. But that's not to say that construction managers are Luddites. They have encouraged and adopted all these new things already, but they have to have three characteristics. They have to adopt new technology that will address the known problem. They have to have that feeling that that technology is already been proven in the field, and has to have an understandable algorithms. They don't like magic. You really want to be able to predict what's going to be happening. And that last one is where AI has had a problem. Because to most people, AI is a black box that generates wonderful results, except when it doesn't. Sometimes it seems like the AI creates things out of thin air. These are called hallucinations. Things like images of people with 6 fingers, or a reference citation that's completely made up, or a balcony on the building that's floating 3 feet away from the building. These are all things that happen with the AI systems. Some of the systems are in use already today. And these hallucinations come about because of the way the AI works. And so it's understandable there's concern about using AI. I just want to stress that it has to be always under the supervision of a human to verify that the results don't have those hallucinations. So the first step is really to take the magic away from AI and understand a little bit about how it works. So that will help to remove some of the fear. So let's go to the 10,000 foot view of how it works. We can't go into it too deeply because there's enough time today, of course. There's college courses for that. But at least we can get to see the major components and the basic idea of how AI works. So the kernel at the heart of virtually all AI systems is called a large language model. Basically, you feed the system data, lots of data, terabytes of data, in the form of a training data set. The content of the training data set depends on what you're going to be using it for. If you want to be a meta-like guru answering any kind of question from many persons, then the training data set has to be huge to cover all possibilities. Conversely, if you know the domain of the application, you can reduce the training set to only relevant data. If you're doing building layout, then you just need the data that's relevant to a building layout application. Still, it's going to be huge amounts of data because that's how it works, but nowhere near that of a generalized large language model. What the LLM does with your data is search for patterns and establish relationships. This machine learning takes a lot of compute power and can take some time, but then when it's done, it's got all of these relationships for the different kinds of patterns. Once the relationships are created, the users can formulate their questions, and the LLM reviews the patterns and relationships to see what data is relevant to the question, and then massages the relevant training data into a response. Obviously, the quality and breadth of the AI's response depends on the training data set they use to work with. More on that later. If we stop there, the LLM will be useful for addressing specific problems, but there'd still be no understanding of the answer, no reasoning, no options. LLMs by themselves are useful for investigating ideas or providing one answer, but the world isn't that simple. The next step up is generative AI. It uses a large language model at its core, but defines a set of input parameters and input parameters and limits that control how the LLM handles relationships. For example, a training data set could contain information about thousands of or millions of steel truss bridges. We want to design one specific bridge with a certain capacity at a certain location with minimum overhead for river traffic at the minimum cost. These are our parameters. The generative AI will create hundreds of new designs based on relationships found in the LLM and that meet the requirements of those parameters. For each, there will be a specific value function that tells how well that particular bridge configuration meets our needs. The user can then make an informed choice out of which bridge should be built. Okay, so that's a quick look under the hood of AI. We can see that the training data set is key to success. You'll never get a wooden bridge design if the only bridges in that data set are steel. And that's why AI in the construction world hasn't taken off fully yet. There's a lot of data around, but it hasn't been put together, but it's been siloed in different areas in disparate application systems. It's never been put together. We need to do that. We need to bring the data together to make it usable by the AI system. And that's where the Autodesk Construction Cloud comes in. Autodesk's platform collects data about projects from concept to turnover. It can analyze different projects and see relationships. It imbues the data with the intelligence of the author. Autodesk knows that they alone don't have all the data, so they have made the ACC data platform open source, meaning others can access data in it. There's over 260 development partners writing apps and integrations extending the reach of the data set. And with that data, it's reasonable to expect that soon you'll be able to perform any of these apps. Being able to review all of the project opportunities that are available to you so you can target the most profitable. For any one project, finding the best subcontractors based on their performance history and qualifications. Automate conceptual takeoff either from a set of drawings or from a 3D model to reduce estimation risk. Automate contract risk analysis, determining what terms are risky, what terms are mitigating that risk, how they're adaptive for this particular project. Generating procurement logs and checking for missed items. Assigning scheduling tasks and sequencing these scenarios. Comparing a 3D model with a 2D drawing. A lot of times in the field, you've got both a 3D model and a 2D drawing. You just want to make sure that that 2D drawing is really reflecting the 3D model. And prioritizing clashes by severity and reducing false positives. The clash applications that we have in use today, it creates defines all of the clashes, but many of them may not be important or relevant. Being able to sort out the things that are really important, that would be an application that could be very useful. So these are things that are near-term capabilities, but they're not in this form completely here yet. So what's available right now? They basically fall into three categories: analyze, automate, augment. So the analyze AI apps enable you to go into the data set and slice and dice that data and present it any way you wish. It can, more importantly, detect trends and look and predict where things are going. If it looks like a particular trade is going to have a cost overrun, and warn you about that long before it's actually happened. It also finds if any readings are out of the normal and require human intervention. So this would be able to be looking at issues, for example, safety issues, and determining if there's an increasing occurrence of safety issues, which require revisiting safety guidelines on site. Automate AI processes are used for the grunt work of that's done right now by hand, and just doing it in an automated fashion, following the rules that are in the AI application. And that is a pretty straightforward job, but the AI can be doing it so much faster and more accurately, because anytime you're doing something manually, there's a risk of error. augment human judgment for that the AI apps that can have the most impact are those that augment human judgment. So the generative AI provides options like the bridge example I used before to the user who can then make data-informed decisions. So let's look at a couple of current apps. Here's an example of the augment example where we're using generative AI to create a series of different options and being able to calculate, in this case, the embodied carbon during conceptual stage. So early in the conceptual stage, a lot of decisions are made that determine the environmental impact of a building. The Autodesk Forma tool allows you to use that generative AI capability to compare different locations, orientations, massing, materials, and structural systems, and show the environmental impact of each. So here's an AI application that augments human judgment. A simple application of AI is symbol recognition on 2D drawings or PDFs where the BIM model isn't available. Autodesk Takeoff reviews the drawings and finds all instances of a symbol for estimating purposes. Rather than a time-consuming and potentially error-prone process, a single keystroke does the takeoff. So here we might look for all the symbols that represent a structural column or all the symbols that represent ductwork, so we can go through and do that takeoff off of the drawings. Another example of automation is the specification book. Projects require hundreds or thousands of pages of text specifications. These are project requirements that don't show up on any drawing. From a master list of specifications, the project engineer has to select and organize the relevant ones for this project. Here, the AI tool scans the specification document and organizes it according to industry standards, usually CSI. Then the project information can be extracted for the specific objects that are in this particular project. And any missing specifications can be highlighted. So if you're speccing out a particular air handling unit, you don't have the specifications for that air handling unit in your specifications, it'd be highlighted and you can pull in the vendor specs for that. And here is a analyze application of AI where the Autodesk Insight tool allows project engineers to review the status of the current project, look at the issues, safety, performance, and compare with previous projects. So here's we can look at trending. We can look at how the information relates to previous projects. For example, if you had a subcontractor and in previous projects they were doing really well on their safety specs, but now on this project they're having a problem meeting the safety issues, that's something that would be highlighted and say this is a risk. This is a high risk that you need to do something about. But maybe it's as simple as getting that particular sub together and talking about safety. But in any case, the fact that that was happening becomes highlighted because the Insight tool would specify that, would make it right in front of you that there's a high risk issue that needs to be handled. The AI can predict what issues are critical based on what was seen in other projects. It will identify any trend in the projects and bring them to the attention of the project leader. All right, so we looked at a couple of AI apps. Now, all of these are available now as part of the Autodesk Construction Cloud. With new releases coming continuously, you can be sure that more general applications will be ready soon. As more and more AI apps are rolled out, you will become more able to focus on the things that matter. Spend your time doing project management and not on massaging the data. All right, so let's handle any questions that are outstanding.
Thank you, Phil, for that wonderful presentation. Let me check if we have questions. And in the meantime, I would like to remind everyone that if you want to learn any of these topics in detail, we offer custom training and group classes online. So yeah, we highly encourage you to check the Microcap website for all of our offerings. You have, again, the link for registration of the webinars on the right hand. And let me read one question we have here. You talked about AI in Autodesk Construction Cloud. How about AutoCAD, Revit, or Inventor?
Yeah, AI is becoming more prevalent in everywhere, and Autodesk is no different, and they're rolling out AI tools for everything. I'm not familiar with any AI activity on AutoCAD because there it's you don't have the intelligence of the object. So certainly Inventor and Revit have intelligent objects, and both of them have had a certain level of generative AI available. The Inventor AI, the Inventor generative design capability has been around for probably 5, 6 years, where you basically say, here's our design parameters and here's our objective function. Go out and create thousands of them and choose the best for me. At that time, it wasn't called AI, but it certainly could be considered part of the AI world. And that's becoming more and more part of AI, where it looks back and says what ones were picked in the past. In Revit, you've got similar capability of generative AI, where you can go in and generate different alternatives, specify the again the value function, so you can tell which ones are good and which ones aren't good, and then deliver those to the user so that they can select which ones they want to work with. So those are activities are going on right now in the authoring tools, Inventor and Revit.
Got it. Thank you, Phil. And you have here our contact information based on the region. You can also contact us at my number there, and you have my email if you have any questions regarding this or any inquiries. So yeah, if we don't have any more questions, I would like to thank you, Phil, and thank you to the attendees. So yeah, hopefully you'll check the registration page and register for our coming webinars, and we'll see you later. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye.